I received my Time magazine in the mail today, and as I was flipping through the pages, I came across a page that caught my attention. That was 2020, the year in language. Time magazine listed 14 words that were popularized throughout the year. So I'm going to provide you with a list of these 14 words and the definitions provided by Time magazine. And I'm also going to provide 3 sentences for each word. And at the end of the video, I'll also provide a bonus word that might be helpful to you as well. So let's start with the very first word. The first word is covidiot. Covidiot. So it's a combination of the 2 words COVID and idiot. Now these 2 words merge into one word, covidiot. According to Time magazine, covidiot is a pejorative term for someone who ignores health and safety guidelines intended to prevent the spread of COVID-19. These are the examples. Did you see that covidiot with 300 rolls of toilet paper in his basket? That covidiot is hugging everyone she sees. The only cure or sure shot way to avoid being a covidiot is to self-isolate, wash your hands regularly, and maintain clinical hygiene, and most importantly, use their brain to defend against fake news, bogus remedies, and herd mentality. The second word is bubble, a small group of individuals who follow the same rules and standards for behavior and can thus spend time together during the pandemic. Popularized by the isolation zone, the NBA created at Disney World to protect the basketball players. Here are the examples. How do you create a COVID-19 social bubble? People are forming small groups called social bubbles or pods to ease the isolation and loneliness of life during the pandemic. Creating a social bubble is probably the safe way to try to spend time with people who aren't in your immediate family right now. It's safer than the alternative, that is, continuing to socialize in different small groups of people or a wider group, he says. The next word is super spreader. Super spreader. Super spreader, according to Time magazine, is a person or event responsible for transmitting an infectious disease to a large number of people. The following are the 3 sample sentences. What do these super spreader events have in common? How do you recognize super spreader events? Even a small event like a family get-together has the potential to be a super spreader event if a person with a highly contagious case of COVID-19 is present. A super spreader can be also a person who spreads an infectious disease like COVID-19 to a large number of people. The next word is a simp. According to Time magazine, simp is a colloquial term popularized on TikTok for a man who is overly accommodating or devoted to someone, usually a woman, or a very devout fan. I'm going to show you a short video clip in which you can hear the word several times.
Hey, a playa, have you ever been called a simp before? Don't worry, it's a new word for an old concept. And I'm going to tell you right now, when I was younger, I used to be a simp. And I want to teach you exactly what you need to do to make sure you don't end up like one as well.
The next one is actually an idiom, which is unmute. 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 The idiom unmute is used when a fellow video call participant is speaking without their microphone on, as in, you are on mute. A refrain popularized this year on Zoom calls around the world. Here are sample sentences. Can you please go on mute? Can you please go on mute? Sorry, I was on mute. Sorry, I was on mute. I think you're on mute. I think you're on mute. You need to unmute yourself. You need to unmute yourself. The next word is blursday. Blursday. The word blursday means the fuzzy merging of time since the pandemic shut down so much of the world, making it difficult to determine what day of the week it is. Here are the 3 sample sentences. When you've been sheltering in place for so long because of a global pandemic, you have no idea what day it is as they all blur together. Blursday can leave us feeling unmoored and spacey. I'll also suggest a mindful refrain of blursday. The next word is anti-racist. Anti-racist is an adjective, which means relating to people or actions working against systemic racism and the historical oppression of marginalized groups. Here are the 3 sample sentences. Others told me they are dedicated to being colorblind, and an all-white anti-racist group is a step backward, not forward. A few years ago, a new anti-racist curriculum was put in place by the Women's Studies program at the university. That leaves no space for a feminist position that is both secular and anti-racist, a position that opposes both the veil and the law. The next word is BIPOC. The word BIPOC is an acronym and is a term for Black, Indigenous, and people of color, intended to highlight, in particular, the identities and experiences of Black and Native American communities in the U.S. Here are the 3 sample sentences. Where did BIPOC come from? The acronym, which stands for Black, Indigenous, and People of Color, is suddenly everywhere. The BIPOC project aims to build authentic and lasting solidarity among Black, Indigenous, and people of color in order to undo Native invisibility, anti-Blackness, dismantle white supremacy, and advance social justice. The acronym BIPOC refers to Black, Indigenous, and other people of color and aims to emphasize the historic oppression of Black and Indigenous people. The next word is defund. Defund. Defund is a verb, and it means to withdraw financial support, as in caused by the movement to defund the police, which promotes a public safety model that shifts resources from law enforcement to community-led social programs and initiatives. Here are the 3 sample sentences. The California legislature has defunded the Industrial Welfare Commission. Many university programs were defunded by the recent government cutbacks. According to ACLU, defunding the police will actually make us safer. The next one is social distancing. According to Time magazine, social distancing is a term for a set of measures to prevent the spread of a contagious disease, the usage of which increased by 400% this year as authorities encourage people to keep a safe space from people who are not in their household or bubble during the COVID-19 pandemic. According to CDC, social distancing, also called physical distancing, means keeping a safe space between yourself and other people who are not from your household. To practice social or physical distancing, stay at least 6 feet, about 2 arms length, from other people who are not from your household, in both indoor and outdoor spaces. How do I practice social distancing? What is social distancing and how can it slow the spread of COVID-19? The next word is doom scroll. Doom scroll. Doom scroll is a verb which means to addictively thumb through the deluge of bad news shared on social media in 2020, frequently undertaken at bedtime. Here are the 3 sample sentences. Doom scrolling or doom surfing is the act of consuming an endless procession of negative online news to the detriment of the scroller's mental wellness. Your doom scrolling breeds anxiety. While the act of continuously scrolling through social media or surfing the web and taking in a constant torrent of bad news isn't really new. It's gotten new attention during the pandemic and even a new name, doom scrolling. The next one is entanglement. Entanglement is a reference to an extramarital affair, popularized when Jada Pinkett discussed an instance of marital infidelity on an episode of her Red Table talk show with her husband, Will Smith. Here are the 3 sample sentences. Willow Smith is proud about Jada Pinkett Smith discussing her entanglement with August Alsina. The Whip My Hair singer opened up about the shame Jada Pinkett Smith's so-called entanglement with hip-hop singer August Alsina brought onto her. During that episode, the Girls Trip star referred to her relationship with Alsina as an entanglement and clarified that it occurred at a time when she and her husband were separated. The next one is Karen. Karen is a colloquial term for a white woman weaponizing her privilege, often at the expense or well-being of a BIPOC individual. Here are the 3 sample sentences. Karen is a pejorative term for someone seeming to be entitled or demanding beyond the scope of what is normal. The meme evolved to depict white women who use their privilege to demand their own way. Here's a short video clip in which you'll be able to see how these Karens behave.
Karen, 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 I'm begging of you, please just wear a mask. You go on rants at Trader Joe's, sit on the ground at the Costco, say wearing masks is the devil's law.
Every single one of you that are obeying the devil's laws are going to be arrested.
You wreck displays at Target stores, you throw good cold cuts on the floor, and please stop talking about your drawers, Karen.
What does it mean to call a woman a Karen? A Karen is generally defined as someone who throws a tantrum at a Starbucks, who asks to speak to the manager over the slightest inconvenience, who uses tears to get what she wants. It's also someone who calls the police on black people for, say, asking they leash their dog in Central Park. The last word is quarantining. Quarantining is the day or nighttime cocktail many have used to unwind amid remote work and COVID-19 lockdowns. Here are the 3 sample sentences. How do you make a perfect quarantini while stuck at home? Quarantini is like a regular martini, but you drink it at home alone. Here's his version of a quarantini that can be made with common at-home drink ingredients. I hope you'll find these 14 words helpful and that you will be able to understand what these words mean when they are used in conversations. Here's the bonus word. The bonus word is nomophobia. Some of you might already know the meaning of this word. Nomophobia. Nomophobia is the fear of being without or losing your mobile phone. Here are the 3 sample sentences. What causes nomophobia? Nomophobia is a rising trend in students. We share the symptoms of nomophobia and explain why you need to take note. I hope you liked my video, and please make sure you check out other videos that I created. Also, please subscribe to my channel and hit that like and notification buttons. Also, if you like this video, will you please help me get the word out to others who might also find this video helpful? Please stay safe and keep daring to speak.